Well, it looks like it's time to clip the grapes. They're falling off in my hand, and we know they're ripe, and it's time to make grape jelly. Okay, these are Concord, and you want to taste them if you're in question about whether they're ripe or not, of course. We've got enough, we've tasted enough that we know these are ready to go. And here's the rooster picking up the ones we drop. Okay, so now that we've got them off the vine, we're going to wash them up and mash them and cook them. So we're picking off the grapes and into a pot of water, and then we'll swish them around, pour off so that they're all clean before we start cooking them, mashing them and cooking them. So if they're green, they're not ripe, they're not going in the pot. And if you happen to let some in there, they tend to float to the top, so you'll be able to scoop them out. And everything else goes right in. Okay, so now I'm going to pour the rest of the water out. Just make sure the grapes don't fall out. Okay, and I'm just going to come through and pick out the sour green ones that stand out if they're still in there. I might pick out a few stems, but really they're not going to get in the jam because we're putting it through a Foley mill. So I'm just doing a quick run through to look for green grapes. All right, so we have our fruit washed now and drained. We have a scale that is measuring, of course, not just the grapes, but the pot as well. The pot was about 3 pounds. And so we have about 6 pounds here, plus a little bit of water that's in there. And the recipe on the Sure Jell box is for 5 pounds. So we have a little extra fruit in there, but by the time the peelings get subtracted off, it'll just be a little over 5 pounds and we'll have more juice. All right, so we're using a regular potato masher to mash the grapes. This is going to be a combination of peelings, seeds, maybe the occasional stray stem, and we're going to leave it at that. We will add 2 cups of water, and we'll heat it up to get some of the juices flavored. Some of the water flavored with the juices. All right, so this is after quite a bit of mashing, a pretty thorough mashing. And no, those aren't a bunch of green grapes that fell in there. That's the peelings that are sliding off. Those dark purple peelings are sliding off the juicy fruit inside. And this is without adding any water. So you're seeing grape juice that's already been squeezed out, even though you can tell most of this fruit still needs squished. So this is where we're starting from. Now we're adding 2 cups of water and we'll start heating it up. All right, so after boiling or a rapid simmer for 10 minutes, this is what we have. You can see the purple color coming up through. There's the timer. And if you could smell it, you would know that we are making grape jelly. It smells amazing. So here is a cooked batch of squished grapes, but remember we still have a lot of undesirables in here. So now we put it in the Foley mill, which is going to separate out all of that. You can see already the juice is dripping down inside, and it definitely looks like grape juice, and it smells like grape juice. So in one direction, this is gathering and squishing the fruit, but in the opposite direction, it's kind of like a plow. It's going through and clearing it so the juice can run through. All right, this is still warm from the simmering that we were just doing, but I had to try it just because it's fresh. And it is so good. There's no sugar added yet, but it tastes like a grape and it's great. All right, so here's our 6 cups of juice. And we have a lot more, so we can make more jelly, or we might just leave it as grape juice, put it in the fridge to get it nice and cold, and it'll make a great glass of grape juice tomorrow morning. Okay, we're putting, as per the directions, we're putting ½ cup of sugar mixed with the Sure Jell, because this comes in little packets of powder, and if you don't mix it with the sugar, as it says in the directions, you might have what happened to you, what happened to me last year, and that is your Sure Jell clumps up but your jelly doesn't. And that's no fun after all the work you put in. So make sure you mix the Sure-Jell with the sugar, and then we'll be stirring in some juice. All right, so this is our Sure-Jell and sugar mixture. I'm going to put it in this bowl I've already used for grape jelly, for grape juice processing today. And we're going to add some of this in. I'm going to stir some of it and then add some more. You can feel the granular texture. Remember, the sugar's in there. And you're going to keep stirring, pressing down until you don't feel the grains of sugar or Sure-Jell anymore. In fact, I'm going to use my masher just to make sure that I've got it. Okay, it sounds like really grainy right now. All right, and now listen how quiet it is compared to what it was. All right, so we're doing 3 cups here because we already put 3.5. We already put the half with the Sure-Jell, so that's a total of 3.5 cups sugar. 3 cups right now is going to go into our warm juice. Okay, so we've mixed the sugar in the big pot. This has the sugar and Sure-Jell mixture, 3.5 cups total of sugar, 1 packet of Sure-Jell. It's all going together into this warm pot of jelly, and we're going to start heating it up again. All right, so we're heating this up to a full boil. We'll let it boil for 1 minute, and then we need to take it off the heat immediately. All right, this is at a rolling boil. I did have to turn the heat off so it doesn't overflow, but we need to do this for 1 minute. It's still at a rolling boil. The bubbles are not going down even though I'm stirring, so it's still boiling. If I need to take it off the burner, I will. We need to do this for exactly 1 minute. We have half a minute already complete, and I think we're going to make it without having to take it off the heat. But it is still, you can see that is still a rolling boil because the burner is so hot. All right, we're putting a knife inside our canning jar to help with the shock of temperature. The jars were in hot water to be sure they were sterile, but we sure don't want them to break. We're going to fill to about the rim. Okay. And one more. So these are very hot, but now it's a waiting game to let them cool off, and we're going to just let them sit for about 24 hours before we touch them or do anything with them. All right, so we want to make sure that the top of the glass jar is clean and dry so that the seal can work properly and you don't have jelly up there like glue keeping you from being able to open your jelly jar later. All right, so we're putting these lids and rings on now, and normally you would probably put these in a hot water bath, but we're going to be just storing these in the refrigerator when we're done, so this will be enough. More likely than not, 90% of the time these go ahead and seal anyway, so that's what we're going to do. Now is the true test. All the hard work is done, and we're going to enjoy our jelly now that we made. This is got to be the best part. And that gelled up very nicely. We're going to get a scoop of it. And oh, it smells so good. I wish you could smell it. All right, we're ready to taste. That is grape jelly for sure, and I gotta say it's better than store-bought. This is what makes me think of my grandma's grape jelly, and it wasn't very hard. We keep it in the refrigerator, and it's gonna go really fast.